Oh, hi! This week, in another attempt to redo an old DIY that I'm not happy with anymore because I have improved my sewing over the years, thank goodness. And also for this particular project, I would like to own up to the fact that it didn't even do what I thought it would do, because this is how little I understood how zippers worked, apparently. So, pals, if you dive kind of deep into the Sewing Nerd archives, you may find a little old video where I added zippers to the tops of the shoulders. My plan here was to have this be completely openable, specifically for when I got a tattoo, I think. I didn't have a concept of separating zippers versus regular zippers. The plan was to be able to turn this into like a one shoulder top or no shoulder top. Problem is, this is not a separating zipper. I didn't even know that was a term at the time. This is, I mean, yes, also a different type of like teeth happening here, but it is hilariously also not a separating zipper. Maybe I can't actually do this project. Oh my god, I can't believe I didn't actually check those. I should be better than this. Y'all, I've been sewing for too long for this to happen. Oh, I so badly want to cut this part out, but I have to leave it in because I feel like I will be hiding my shame if I don't show this. Oh my god. Hold please, I need to see if I have what I actually need to have for this project. Boy howdy, that was so embarrassing, but I want to live my truth, I guess. To show you the difference, in case you also don't know what I'm talking about, since I don't seem to know what I'm talking about. I have a beer here, I haven't even opened it yet. So this is the difference in a regular zipper, which is this one here, which is what I grabbed. It was just in the pile with these and I didn't think to check if all of them were separating or not. I'm trying to excuse my way out of making this mistake. As you can see, if you unzip something like this with this stop at the bottom, it's not going to come apart. And that is what is on these shirts. Whereas this, which is on the front of like hoodies, is you zip all the way down. They do tend to be longer. I mean, the only actual separating zippers I've ever used have been big long boys. So once you get to the bottom, it's going to meet that tab and then one of the sides should pull out like this. And it separates. Unfortunately, all the ones that I have that do actually separate are forever long, and it feels really wasteful to only use a couple inches of zipper because these were 7-inch zippers and even these were too long for this part. I think I'm going to change tactic. But for the sake of explaining the practical use of a top like this, because you can still use this on the underarm seam. Per people's request, and thank you for asking for stuff like this, because it wouldn't have crossed my mind to do accessible clothing. Like, it's not on my radar as I am a generally able-bodied person. I mean, listen, there are chronic pain issues that come up, but it's not like I have a PICC line or something like that. So if you can find a short enough separating zipper, or if you're willing to just make it shorter, and all you would do with that is like, don't mess around with the bottom at all. This is the part that you can't fuck with. But if you just fold over the top at the length you want and then stitch it down, you obviously can't sew over big chunky teeth like this, these big plastic ones. That ain't gonna fly unless you're doing it by hand and you can hand tack it. But folding it over and stitching shit down like this should keep the zipper head from coming off of it. For example, for one that is this long, and I would actually have the zipper down at the bottom because that's gonna be kind of bulky to have at your underarm, but having this seam open from your underarm all the way down the side of your shirt. So you just line it up along the seam and then you can have a completely detachable side of your shirt so that you don't have to pull it over your head every time. And you can do both sides. Like I have both shoulders here. You can do both shoulders so you can like pull it up but not have to put your arms through. If like your torso is free, you can do all four. So you basically have two separate panels going over the front and back depending on how you're restricted, or just if you want it to look that way. It doesn't have to be just for accessibility. So here's the plan. Now that I have thoroughly embarrassed myself, I have grabbed a completely different shirt because listen, even though I did a bad job putting these in, it's not clean work. I still wear these shirts a lot, even though they don't open all the way. I don't need the access to anything. So I'm gonna keep these as is. Please let me know if you end up doing it with a separating zipper. I mean, there's so many places you could do it. Along the front here, I think that would look pretty cool. Maybe just down the front so it's kind of like a pullover shirt. I have done that with shirts in the past. Here's a photo if I can find it. I actually took this apart. I have taken the t-shirt components of this and I'm going to make it into like either a raglan sleeve or a ringer tee. I'm going to do something with the shirt and make it jazzier so that I will wear it because this is one of my favorite bands. Also, lazy way out. This means I don't have to unpick my very bad sewing that I did. So, cool. I was kind of worried about how long that was going to take and I didn't want to ruin these shirts because redoing anything at the top, this is already a real tight if you cannot tell. So if I lost any edges here, it's going to make everything even tighter, and nobody needs that. So I got a slightly looser shirt because I would imagine if you do need something like this because of some equipment you get attached to your bod, then you don't want something super skin tight. All right, let me go from this black shirt into this black shirt. That was probably a very awkward transition. Listen, I don't do TikTok, so I don't know shit about that. Because there's writing here, I'm gonna chalk out something on this side. So the only thing I need to keep in mind is have it go from neck hole to the end of the sleeve. So there's a whole portion opening. And obviously you can do that on both sides. Do as many as you want. Coming across this way. Yeah? Yeah, I think that'll be okay. I don't really want it to go under my arm. Yeah, I think that's okay. I don't think it'll be uncomfortable in any spot, and then it'll open this way. Now I'm going to switch into yet a different top and put a hoodie on because it is getting chilly. And wouldn't you know it, this hoodie has a separating zipper on it. Who'd have thought? We are officially into the cold times. So I will be living in my old man socks and spending as much time next to my wood stove as possible for the next 6 months, even though it turns me into a corn husk because it makes the air so dry. But worth it because cozy. All right, outfit change, outfit change. Okay, I spent far too long deliberating and then just procrastinating, working on the rest of this. And I've just about finished this beer, so just to indicate where I'm at right now. I'm going to turn this into a straight line, actually. Hey, here's little Bert. Sometimes I tuck my feet into his bed so he can keep them warm. I'm actually considering just cutting the neckline out. We're already past the point of no return, so decision has been made. All right, so here's our new neckline. I don't dislike the look of raw edge necklines, so that's just me, but I may play around with it and fold it over and, you know, no solid decisions have been made yet. If I was not showing you what I was doing, I would cut the hem off of the sleeve as well, because again, it's a knit. You don't need to be super, super precise and clean about all of this. Since I've already fucked up so many other things this project, I'm gonna try to be somewhat helpful, and I'm gonna unpick some of the hemming stitches under here, right? Just a little ways in, like 2 inches either side of the sleeve hem. What I've decided is I've taken some ribbon. Yes, this has little dinos on it, but it's going to be hidden away. Secret dinos. I'm going to use this as both a seam finish as well as a stabilizer, just to own up to how my evening has been. I haven't turned the camera on in about 2 hours, so killing it. Here is that sleeve edge, and I can unroll it now. So I'm going to take both edges laid out right sides up. Then I'm going to take the right side of the ribbon, so right sides together, and line it up with that open edge. So there won't be as much stretch here now because this ribbon is like a grosgrain ribbon. It's not gonna give at all, but it's also gonna work out really well for the cam snaps, and it'll hold it. Because otherwise, if you just put it through 1 layer of knit or even 2 layers of knit, the stretchiness, it's just not gonna work out as well. I'm going to stitch this pretty close to the edge. Okay, so here is my ribbon sewn right sides together on both edges. So when you do that first set of stitching, you're gonna fold out like this. So you're gonna fold that under. So that's gonna be on the inside. I'm gonna do 2 rows of stitching, 1 right along this edge here, which you can see on the top, and then another one closer to the inside edge of the ribbon, just so it's not flapping around everywhere. There'll be 2 rows on the outside like this. Cool? Cool. Here's that edge we opened up of the sleeve. We're just gonna fold that back over and kind of meet up the new stitches with those original ones. So just kind of re-stitch the bit we undid. Also fold over the edge of the neck so there's no raw edges sticking out, because like this is gonna fray. I probably could have burnt the end. That's definitely gonna depend on what kind of ribbon you're using, but I could have burnt the end to finish it so it wasn't fraying. Anyways, yeah, things are happening. There's actually not that many steps. I'm taking so fucking long to film this. Thankfully, you're not seeing all of the procrastinating happening, but you're still seeing a little bit of the mess. I don't know, not everything's perfect and shiny, obviously. Okay, so this is what the finished neckline looks like. My restitched shoulder, nope, sleeve, cuff. This is the cuff bit. Okay. Oh no, one of the bits came out. Whoops, just kidding. Let me fix that, and then I'll show you how I put the snaps in. So these are what the snaps look like. And you take one of these stabby boys, figure out what side is facing what direction. What you do here, and why I have a little cut on my thumb actually, is because you need to poke a hole through, especially if it's thicker material. Sometimes if there's not like a lot for it to go through, it'll be fine to just poke the prong right through it. But if it needs some help, you can use the awl. Goddamn, it's sharp, so be careful. So I'm gonna take that, push it through the hole like this, then place whichever one you're picking. They go on the same way. So you take this little clampy tool, put the flat side in this little like cup here at the bottom, and then you press nice and hard, and then it mushes the prong into that second piece you put on. Yay! So I'm gonna do, I think, a total of 5 along here, but do as few or as many as you want. Just take your time to like space them out well. So yeah, let me finish this up and then we'll do a little final reveal. I'm very excited. Okay, we're at the end bit. Okay, we did it. We got all the bits in, and the sleeve is like just barely smaller than this sleeve now because I was really careful to not get too far into the seam allowance. I'm realizing I should have maybe had it a little further up and like tried to get the straight line to go like more on the top of the sleeve, but like arm going out, super helpful. And even when they are like in the crook of my arm, it's not uncomfortable because they're snaps. Just, you know, a little stiffness from the ribbon, but because it's a stiffener, it should be that way. And now the whole thing comes apart. Listen, you can have it partially open, and aesthetically, I like this a lot. Having it on one side especially, but even if it was both, I think it looks kind of badass having it open like that. If you did matching ones and it was a little more subtle than this, I just wanted to like match the print here, and also just so you could see it really well. I hope it's somewhat helpful. Huge, huge, huge thank you to those of you that have requested this. It's been a long time coming on my part. I've had this project set aside for months and months. No, it's not the original idea I had with the zippers, but this was gonna be like a future project, so this just got bumped up a little bit. Listen, even if I'm only helpful because I'm fucking up so you don't have to, I'll take that on the chin. That's fine. And while I am hanging out thanking people, I am overwhelmed by the recent increase in the patrons that I have, because through this whole year, during the pandemic and shit, and just the nightmare that has been 2020, I have only been growing. Like, everyone's fallen on hard times this year, and you're still wanting to support me in such a huge, tangible way, and that you care about what I'm making hard enough to want me to continue doing it. Because last week's video was such a weep fest. Appreciation crying, but still, I cried a lot working on that project. Here, I'll link up here if you haven't seen it. I'm making that person another gift. I will try not to cry that whole time. But listen, I love my friends, and I probably wouldn't be here without most of them. So yeah, they get some of my friend tears. We're coming up on Thanksgiving, so now seems like the time to be this way before we fall too deep in the cheese. I am barely staying awake now. It is so many more hours later. I need to get to bed. I will see you all back here next Friday with another video. And thank you so much for hanging out. Not to mention that they're too short, which is, you know, just the curse of being me, is that everything is too short. But that's why we're here, to make our own shit.